so that you achieve the results. You cannot build a school, yet you don't have teachers. You must have teachers so that you get value for money. Today we can say 46.5 billion be released. We'll go build a school in Kapchorwa, in Chemelil Chemas, in Soba Songo. But where will you get the teacher that will provide for that learner? And I agree on the issue of 504% for the operations of, I want to request the finance and budget. What is killing counties is recurrent expenditure. I think in future, we should see a way of reducing this 504 million for operations. And I know the Finance and Budget Committee led by Senator Roba and deputized by Senator Mutinda can sit and agree on how they want to proceed, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, this is a very Article 204. We must adhere to it. I want to still appeal that this money of marginalization should and must be released. And I hope when the CS, I've had the mover, who is the Vice Chairperson of Finance and Budget, saying that CS Mbadi is appearing before them. Please let him tell us what this 46.5 billion is. So, Speaker, we need to fix roads. Over the weekend, Mr. Speaker, as I accompanied the President, as you are aware, in Kaptagat 9th edition, and I want to thank and congratulate PS Dr. Chris Kipto, who is the patron of Kaptagat conservation efforts, for the good work he's doing in that region, and as the PS of National Treasury, I accompanied His Excellency the President, Dr. William Ruto, for conservation efforts. So, Speaker, and I'm happy you did move a bill concerning environment. I wish to have seen you there because you are one of the champions of the issue of conservation and climate action. And I used the road that is between Simatwa all the way to Naiberi, Mr. Speaker. That road is barely 3 years, Mr. Speaker. But the road is in pathetic condition. It was tarmac. When you pass through, Mr. Speaker, Wanifa, as you go to Naiberi, as you approach the one from Nyaru all the way to Eldoret. So I used the Simatwa, the Wanifa, all the way to Kipkabos, to Ainapko. The road is in pathetic shape, Mr. Speaker. Yet that road has been used only for 3 years. The contractor of that road should be called to order, should be blacklisted. Yes, I'm aware it was in the previous government. It was done in the previous government. In fact, the CS of roads then, the heads who stood for that road, the supervisor, the contractor, must be called, Mr. Speaker. We have roads that were done in 1960s, but we are still there in good shape. That road between Simatwa High School, all the way to the other part of KU, and this other way all the way to Ainapko, Mr. Speaker, which has been used for 3 years, we must be told who is the contractor. That contractor must be blacklisted. The retention money that is in the account must be brought back. Because if we are using taxpayers' money, Mr. Speaker, to only fix a road then use for 3 years, then potholes are all over. That road was done in a substandard manner. And I want to request the Committee of Roads and Transport to go back and investigate not only that road of Naiberi, Kipkabos, but also the one, and this other part of KU, all the way to this part of KU, Mr. Speaker, Tingwa. From Tingwa all the way to Ainapko, it is not only that, Mr. Speaker. Even my road, the one I talked about today, Chepterit Moi University, it's barely 3 years. But the gentlemen, I'm not an engineer, they are repairing it using maram and tarmac. So I'm wondering, why would you put maram and tarmac? I'm not an engineer, but that is the substandard work. We want, when we fix a road, we fix a road to the tarmac. That road should have even a lifespan of 50 years before even we see a pothole. So the people of Elgeyo Marakwet and Uasin who use that road, I think they are really suffering because, but I'm happy His Excellency the President took a note of that road and directed that something be done. And this was the road that was done in the previous regime, Mr. Speaker. So, Speaker, the reason I'm speaking on behalf on such is because all of us are leaders without boundaries across the nation. Mr. Speaker, with those very many remarks, so that I can allow my sister and other colleagues to reply, and also other colleagues to contribute, allow me to graciously, with a lot of humility, to second this bill. Let this money go to the village. Let's fix our roads, our schools, our hospitals, and the governors or people who will be in charge. They should know this money is taxpayers' money. 1 shilling lost in any taxpayer's money is for too much, because Kenyans pay through the pain for this tax, Mr. Speaker. Are you aware there are two things sure in life, death and taxes? With those many remarks, I beg to second.
Thank you, Senator. The honourable senators can now contribute to the motion. Senator Mungatana. Just one moment, please. Honourable Senators, I propose the question that the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 7 of 2024 be now read a second time. Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to take the floor on this matter. Mr. Speaker, there is a history behind the Equalization Fund. These are monies for those who are listening to us, because I know people are listening to us. Apart from the equitable share that the Senate passes, there is the Equalization Fund. In the Constitution, the makers of that Constitution, we thought that there are parts of this country that have faced severe segregation in terms of funding, in terms of development. And Mr. Speaker, it used to be that some parts of Kenya, people would enter their buses and say, "Where are you traveling?" "I'm going to Kenya." Mr. Speaker, the reason the Constitution introduced this Equalization Fund is so that areas such as Tana River, which were left behind, in specific 4 areas, the areas of water, roads, health facilities, and electricity, can get extra funding so that we can catch up with the rest of the areas that started getting these funds before us. So, Mr. Speaker, I stand to support the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Bill number 7 of 2025. Mr. Speaker, Tana River will be getting 719 million shillings. Bura constituency will be getting 259,489,901. Galole constituency will be getting 196,502,469. Garsen constituency will be getting the larger share because it also has a bigger population of 263,022,881 Kenya shillings. Mr. Speaker, these monies, according to this act, they do not go to the county revenue fund. In fact, Mr. Speaker, Section 4 of this act specifically excludes these monies from being taken to the CRF, which means, Mr. Speaker, their appropriation is faster. It is possible for this money to be released today from Treasury, and once those plans are approved, it is possible to use this money without too much delay. So, Mr. Speaker, as these funds, 719 million, go down to Tana River, Mr. Speaker, the people of Tana River are looking up to seeing better water services, Mr. Speaker, to seeing better roads, Mr. Speaker, to seeing better health facilities, Mr. Speaker, and also a better reach for the electricity distribution network around our county. Mr. Speaker, I urge that those who will receive these monies, and Mr. Speaker, those who will be given the opportunity to choose those projects in the various wards, because this is what we do. The various wards come up with their projects. Mr. Speaker, we expect proper utilization of these funds. And I again say, let us make it really worth it, that all this effort we make, may it reflect well on the ground, so that our people don't say we are just talking and they don't get information or benefits of the evolution. Mr. Speaker, with those many words, I beg to support. Thank you.
Senator Karen Nyamu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Equalization Fund is not charity. It is a constitutional obligation under Section 204 of our Constitution. And the people who framed the Constitution understood that if we do not deliberately empower the very forgotten corners of our country, then we risk even more alienation and risk creating unrest in our country. Unfortunately, this noble fund has experienced delays, serious delays, bureaucracy and bottlenecks that rendering it almost dysfunctional in previous cycles. But I am glad that this year we have a chance, because we have specific allocations where this money should be spent in our counties. I want to say that this Equalization Fund is not supposed to be politicized. It is not a way of wooing any community. We must ensure that it is going to the marginalized and not to woo numbers, you know, as it has been traditionally done. Mr. Speaker, urban marginalization is real. And in Nairobi, we have informal settlements where the residents of these settlements do not have access to sanitation, have a huge population in schools, the infrastructure is poor. Tell me, Mr. Speaker, what is the difference between a child who walks 10 kilometers in Turkana in search of water and a child who lives in Korokocho in open sewer? Both are victims of lack of access to water. Tell me why the Nairobi child has not been catered for under this Equalization Fund. Being close to civilization only means that this marginalization is hidden. It does not mean that it exists. In fact, it makes it even worse for our case. I want this to be the parliament that reviews this allocation of Equalization Fund and allocates pockets of urban pockets that are marginalized. I don't know what happened to Senate Mashinani, because I want to suggest that we take time as a house and our committees take time to have sittings in our slums, in Kibera, in Korokocho, in Mukuru, Madam Speaker, in Kiambu, in Deep Sea, in Westlands, and all our slums, Mr. Speaker, so that you can appreciate when you are allocating, and particularly the Committee on Finance and Budget, when you are allocating and when you are suggesting, so that you can appreciate that Nairobi is not the skyscrapers. Nairobi is not the estates, Madam Speaker. Nairobi is the 60% of the population of this city who lives in the slums that I have just listed, Mr. Speaker. And I think as a Nairobi team and a Nairobi delegation, we have to raise up to the occasion, because our people have a lot of expectations from us. I want to leave this Senate when Nairobi is listed in this schedule as a beneficiary of this Equalization Fund, Mr. Speaker. Because as things are, this is outrightly unfair. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by appreciating the good work done by the Finance Committee in ensuring that they push for the allocation of these funds. But as they do their work, it is imperative to be able to understand why this equalization fund was put in the Constitution of Kenya and for what reasons. The aim, Mr. Speaker, was solely to be able to address disparities among regions in the country that have been left behind. In fact, I believe that the framers of the Constitution were advised by Session Paper number 10, where development was constantly focused on the areas where the train was, leaving regions. Mr. Speaker, I've had the contribution by my two colleagues who spoke before me. The first one is Senator Cherargei. And today, for the very first time, let me acknowledge the good work that Senator Cherargei does in this country. You know, I've been with Senator Cherargei for the last 8 years in this parliament. And when at the rise of the house, you'll still find Senator Cherargei. So the people of Nandi, just know that you have a good asset. He might be cantankerous, he might be unorthodox, but he is very diligent in terms of his agility and dedication to issues affecting Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, is beyond measure. I really appreciate him for that. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, let me begin by completely disagreeing by certain sentiments that my good friend Senator Cherargei shared here in terms of the city. The city, I beg to differ. My sentiments could be unorthodox, but it is not marginalized. It is completely not marginalized. The city is defined as a city. Mosiro in Narok County is not defined as a city. A rural village in Garissa County is not defined as a city. So this business or debate that my dear sister also, Senator Karen Nyamu, is also supporting that Nairobi should be considered as marginalized. Those people, I dare say, who live in the slums, do so because of poor policies, because of rural-urban migration. If we could spend our time, Mr. Speaker, if we could be able to really focus on developing our counties, there would be no reason as to why people would migrate from Kakamega to Nairobi. There'll be no reason as to why people will move Garissa to Nairobi, from Narok to Nairobi. And when they come from Nandi to Nairobi, and I think that is a conversation we need to have as a country. What do we do to uplift the standard of living of our people who live in our rural areas? The framers of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, drew the line for us. They divided resources. They went ahead and said, we will put a sunset clause on money to be sent to counties. It is quite mind-boggling, Mr. Speaker, and quite self-defeating when today we start talking about 2 equalization funds to be able to implement marginalized policies. When the money has been set aside, 46 billion, this is a year, so it will just be reduced to a talking house where we are talking and the money is not going out. That is the argument we should be having. Those regions, I know the committee or the Commission of Revenue Allocation has developed different marginalization policies to be able to advise this equalization fund. But every year, Mr. Speaker, this Senate passes the resources to be sent, to be implemented, then it becomes a tug of war. Members of Parliament wants to be the ones to be able to implement that. National government wants to take that money. Now that we have a clear path, the most important thing for us to ask ourselves is this 19 or 14, 15 projects that had been proposed to be implemented under the second marginalization policy. And previously, those other ones under the Equalization Fund Act number 3 of 2018, which was bringing together resources that were supposed to have been sent out to counties for 2014, 15, 16, and 17. That was never sent. That is the question, Mr. Speaker. That is where we should be putting all our thoughts in to say, CS Buddy, what can we do for you to send this money? What can you do for you to be able to send this money, for this money to go to regions? You know, the Constitution is there. So when I hear people saying, oh, it has been delayed because of debates, because of what? No. It's really just wasting time. So, Mr. Speaker, we have these marginalized regions. We have people who do not even have water in their regions, Mr. Speaker. In the 21st century, we are out in the streets arguing, fighting about governance. We're talking about issues. I'm not hearing people saying, I'm going to protest because I do not have water in my village. I'm not hearing people say, I do not have a hospital in my village. Today, Mr. Speaker, I saw that there was a school. Mr. Speaker, my minutes. This is an issue. I beg to request that we can postpone it to tomorrow so that we are not in a rush to move all the other bills, because these are issues that we need to address, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to request that you allow me to go through this. I haven't been around.
Very well, Senator.
And there are issues that are very important. And I really do wish that all the senators who are here to talk about these projects, to name projects. Mr. Speaker, while I was seated here, I received a text message from a Kenyan who was given a contract during the first policy. I think it was under the Act number Equalization Fund number 3 of 2018. Until today, Mr. Speaker, that Kenyan has not been paid their money. That is what we should be talking about. Those projects. When are we ever going to become of age when we talk about democracy? We are busy talking about tribal issues. We are busy talking about power. But there's no single day, Mr. Speaker, that we can say, now, let us audit these funds. Let us, today, this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, is one of the most important afternoons in the Senate calendar, where we are talking about division of revenue. We are talking about equalization fund. The next one, we are going to be talking about dividing money among the counties, the 47 counties. This is a county allocation of revenue. But when I shook my head like this, all like this, you know, and particularly that's the reason why I'm here, and maybe people have issues, but I think it's a day that we don't need to rush things. It's a day that we need to stand here and say, how much money is going to Narok County? With this equalization fund, these marginalized areas. Mr. Speaker, there was, in the last parliament, the Commission of Revenue and Allocation had even gone down. They had narrowed the marginalized areas to sub-locations. You'll find that in Narok County, for instance, you will go to Narok East. But in Narok East, even though money will be given to Narok East, it will not be given to help the entire Narok East. It will be to probably go to Mosiro, where people don't have a health center, they have no water, they have no what. If it is a Murwedikir, if it is Kilgoris constituency, it will be areas that it will help be able to uplift the standard of living of these people. What, Mr. Speaker, I want to invite us all now is to debate how we are going to change our future. Because the arguments that we've been having have been self-defeating. The fights that we've been having have been self-defeating. We now need to ask ourselves, what do we need to do? What belts do we need to tighten? What policies do we need to come up with? So that whatever amount of money we pass in this house can be released. You know, sometimes I think the reason why a lot of things are not done when it comes to the issue of the Senate is because we do not have an implementation committee. I think the day we have an implementation committee with serious consequences, then when we pass this 46 billion, or all the amount of money that needs to be able to go to the counties, we can follow through to ensure that that money is done. After this, we will be discussing about county allocation fund. When we discuss that, Mr. Speaker, will those funds go to projects that have solely been selected by Treasury, or does it have an input of the citizens? The reason why there is such a huge disparity, the reason why there is such a big fight between the younger generation and the current generation, between the millennials and the Gen Zs or the other generation, is because we are not speaking the same language. Instead of doing away with this rural-urban migration and being intentional by the money we allocate and we follow through, we are busy now talking about, let us improve life in the slums. Why not start new cities? Why not go in and say, areas which are just left like that, go set up a city, move people, they move on. Mr. Speaker, if you go to Nigeria decided we are tired of this, lack of coordination. And they came up with Abuja, brand new city. They are building new cities, as a country, Kenya. Today, Mr. Speaker, what we should be asking ourselves is that what will help uplift or change the lifestyle of our people? It becomes very expensive, Mr. Speaker. Now we are talking about this equalization fund. There's some money here which is being earmarked to take electricity to those marginalized areas. But let us be realistic here. Mr. Speaker, I'm a pastoralist. And Mr. Speaker, you're also a pastoralist. I live here, and I have probably 2,000 or 3,000 acres of land. To get to where you are, you also have another 2,000 acres of land. By the time we build an electric line to you, we would have spent all the money that is supposed to be able to help people. Why don't we think about creating cities, small towns, even in rural areas, Mr. Speaker? So I went to Rwanda, and I was impressed with what Rwandans are doing when we visited President Kagame. And that is one of the things that, Mr. Speaker, I have committed myself to do it for the people of Ilchamus in Baringo County. Bring them together, have them some social houses. When you put them together, there is enough security. You can put a police post there. You can bring electricity to them. You can give them water. You can also help them use the resources which are located in Lake Baringo. We move that to other regions as well, Mr. Speaker, of Narok County, of Garissa County. So, Mr. Speaker, the argument that I'd like us to have is how well do we ensure that we send this money that we have allocated, Mr. Speaker. The money...
Senator Olekina, you will have a balance of 7 minutes when this motion returns on the floor of the House. Honorable Senators, it is now 6:30 p.m., time to adjourn the Senate. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday 16th July 2025 at 9:30 p.m.